$1 million house was sold in 48 hours, and I did it on purpose. You might think this is a revenge story. It's not. This is a story about a man who woke up one morning and realized he'd been dying. Not metaphorically, actually dying. Disappearing inch by inch while the people closest to him got richer, got more confident, got more sure that they could erase him entirely. See, I didn't just build a house. I built a life. A company worth $45 million. A family. A legacy that I thought would outlive me. I mentored my son Connor for 8 years, taught him the methodology that became his entire foundation, gave him access to my secrets, my clients, my methods. I thought I was building his future. What I didn't know was that he was building a case against me, that he was collecting my knowledge like ammunition, that he was planning to laugh at me in front of 500 people. And the worst part? His mother was helping him do it. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Share this with someone who needs to understand that silence isn't loyalty, that boundaries aren't betrayal, that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to disappear. My name is Patrick Sullivan. I'm 62 years old. Here's what happened. I started Meridian Consulting in 1988. I was 26 years old, $12,000 in my savings account, a laptop I'd bought used, a single idea about how technology firms could optimize client relationships if they thought about the architecture differently. I worked in my garage for 2 years, slept 4 hours a night, went to coffee shops to use their Wi-Fi because I couldn't afford internet at home. The coffee shops didn't like it, but I'd buy a coffee every hour to justify staying. $1.50 coffee. That was my business expense. I worked on client optimization frameworks, built spreadsheets, built models, built something that actually worked. By 1990, my first real client came. A mid-size insurance firm that needed to reorganize how they handled enterprise accounts. I solved it. They paid me $20,000. That was more money than I'd ever seen. Hired my first employee in 1990, a woman named Patricia who believed in what I was building. By 1993, I had 2 more people. By 2000, I had 30. By 2010, I had 100. By 2020, when the story I'm about to tell you really begins, I had 180 employees spread across 2 offices. Meridian Consulting was making $45 million a year in revenue. We had clients at Fortune 500 companies. I became known in Silicon Valley for spotting market shifts before anyone else saw them coming. I was the guy people called when they needed clarity, when they needed someone who could see past the hype and understand what was actually happening in technology. I built this for one reason, not for myself, for my family. I wanted Connor and Claire to have something real to stand on, something they could inherit, something that said, your father worked. He built something, it meant something. I met Helen at a Stanford alumni event in 1995. She was an accountant, smart, practical. She understood numbers the way I understood strategy. We got married in 1995. Connor was born in 1990. I need to clarify that. Connor was born in 1990, so we were already together when he arrived. Claire was born in 1993. 28 years of marriage, 2 kids, a house we bought together in 1998 for $520,000. A life that seemed stable, a life that seemed real. I thought it was solid. I thought wrong. 5 years ago, the year was 2019, I started noticing Helen was distant, working late, new female friends she was hanging out with, taking her phone into the bathroom, coming home smelling like someone else's cologne. I didn't confront her. That was my first mistake. I blamed myself instead. Maybe I wasn't present enough. Maybe I was too focused on Meridian. Maybe she was right to pull away. Maybe I'd become the person she no longer wanted to be married to. I was wrong. She wasn't pulling away because of me. She was pulling away because she was already gone to someone else. 3 years ago, I found a hotel receipt, the Marriott on Market Street. 4 nights in September. A name I didn't recognize, confirmation number, charges for room service. 2 people, obviously. I kept the receipt in my hand for an hour, just held it. Didn't move. Then I called Helen. She admitted it when I asked. She'd been having an affair for 2 years. She wanted a divorce. She said she was unhappy and needed to find herself. And all the words people use when they've already decided you're not part of their future. I was humiliated. I won't pretend I wasn't. I felt like I had failed. Built a $45 million company, but I couldn't hold my marriage together. Built something that mattered to thousands of people, but I couldn't keep my own wife faithful. In my mind, that made everything else meaningless. So I withdrew from Meridian, from Connor, from everything. I gave Connor the VP of Product title, handed him authority over client strategy. My logic was simple and stupid. If I can't be a good husband, maybe I can be a good father by letting my son succeed, by stepping back, by becoming invisible. And Connor watched his father retreat. He watched me stop showing up to board meetings, stop making the big decisions, stop being the dominant voice in the room. He watched me become a ghost in a company I'd created. Connor saw opportunity. He saw weakness. He saw a business that could be taken. During this same period, something else was happening, something I didn't understand until much later. Connor's relationship with Helen deepened, not romantically in the conventional sense, at least not with Helen herself, but emotionally, conspiratorially. Helen became his co-conspirator. She would tell Connor things like, "Your father is weak. You're stronger. You deserve to be the founder. You deserve to lead." Connor started believing it, started internalizing it, started using it as his narrative. I had no idea how deep this went. I had no idea that my son and my ex-wife were building a mythology together in which I was irrelevant. Weak. Past my time. All I knew was that I'd lost my marriage, and I was slowly losing my company, and I didn't even understand why. That was about to change. 6 weeks before this story really begins, I received an encrypted email at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. I know the time because I was awake. I was always awake those days. Sleep wasn't something I could access. My brain wouldn't shut down. No sender name, just an attachment and 3 words. You need to see this. The attachment was a screenshot of a pitch deck. Connor's pitch deck for a new startup called Vanguard Systems. I opened it on my laptop at 2:48 a.m., started reading, got through the first 5 pages, and then I stopped. Because I was reading something I had written. Not similar to something I'd written, not inspired by something I'd written, but word for word, sentence for sentence, paragraph for paragraph, the client realignment framework, my methodology, the thing I'd spent 10 years perfecting, starting from that first insurance client in 1990 and refining it through hundreds of iterations, thousands of decisions, millions of dollars in client investment. The core intellectual property of Meridian Consulting. The thing that made our company worth what it was worth. 15 pages, verbatim. In Connor's pitch deck, my first thought was, this isn't real. He wouldn't do this. It's a mistake. Someone copied something wrong. This can't be happening. My second thought was, check the server logs right now. I didn't sleep that night. I pulled the access logs from Meridian's server at 3:15 a.m. and started reading through the records of who accessed what files when. Connor had downloaded 47 proprietary documents, 47, from the secured server, using his credentials. The downloads happened on 5 specific dates between January and February 2023, 1 month before he announced Vanguard Systems. January 14th at 6:43 p.m., download of Client Realignment, Framework V8.2. January 15th at 11:12 a.m., download of Strategic Implementation Methodology. January 18th at 3:22 p.m., download of Client Retention Protocols Updated 2022. I could see the dates. I could see the times. I could see the exact files. It was all there. Documented, logged, undeniable. I sat at my desk for 2 hours and didn't move. I just stared at the screen. I wanted to call him. I didn't. I wanted to confront him immediately. I didn't. Something inside me had shifted. Grief had transformed into something colder, clearer, And clarity was telling me to listen before I spoke, to understand before I reacted. So I listened to the silence, to the implications, to what this meant. 3 weeks later, I attended a technology industry conference, November 2023, the Grand Hyatt San Francisco. Connor was on a keynote panel about innovation and legacy. 500 people in the ballroom, business casual dress code. The stage had blue lighting. Connor sat in the middle, flanked by 2 other startup founders. The moderator asked him a question. Who were your biggest influences? Who mentored you into leadership? Connor smiled. He paused. He was thinking about his answer. You could see him calculating. You could see him deciding what story to tell. And then he laughed. Not a small laugh. Not a polite laugh. A real laugh. The kind you do when you've just heard something ridiculous. Something so absurd that you can't help but respond with genuine amusement. He said, "My father taught me what not to do. He built something big, but he couldn't see the market shifting. He was brilliant once, maybe, but he's a dinosaur now. He couldn't even keep his marriage together. How's he supposed to understand a digital-first business model?" The audience laughed with him. I was sitting in the back of the ballroom, in a chair near the exit. I didn't laugh. The video was recorded by 3 different people. It went on LinkedIn within the hour. 45,000 shares in 48 hours, 52,000 by the end of the week. Comments everywhere. Savage. Love this energy. He's not wrong. Founder humility. What a takedown. I watched it again and again. 20 times, 30 times, 40 times. Each time I died a little bit more inside, but each time something else grew. Something cold, something clear, something that felt like clarity for the first time in 5 years. I stopped going to the office after that. Stopped answering calls from the team, stopped responding to emails. I was sitting in that $1 million house, that house I'd bought with hope and naivety, thinking about drinking myself to death the way my father had done. My father was an engineer too, brilliant, couldn't manage his own life, drank himself to death in his 60s. I was terrified I was going to become him. But then one morning around 4 a.m., I was sitting on the back patio. The house was quiet. The Palo Alto sky was starting to lighten, and a choice appeared in front of me. Not as an idea, as a physical thing, like it was sitting in the chair across from me. Choice A, give up, drink, follow my father's path, let Connor and Helen win by virtue of my absence. Choice B, fight back, not with anger, not with rage, with clarity, with cold, legal authority, with the kind of power that doesn't need to yell, because it's absolutely certain of its ground. I chose B. I called a lawyer named Victoria Grant at 8:30 a.m. that same morning. She came recommended by Claire, my daughter. Victoria was a partner at Grant & Walsh, a boutique family law and corporate litigation firm. She'd done this before. She'd helped people in situations like mine. I went to her office on a Monday. She had me sit across from her desk. The office was minimalist. White walls, a few plants, a photograph of an older woman, her mother maybe. I told her everything. The affair, the IP theft, the public humiliation, the emails I'd found between Connor and Helen, all of it. Victoria listened. She didn't interrupt. She made notes. And then she asked one simple question. What outcome do you want? I said, I want him to understand that what he did has consequences. I want it to be irreversible. And I want to do it cleanly, legally, ethically, with no way for him to come back at me. I don't want to spend 10 years in court. I don't want to be fighting him when I'm 75 years old. I want to act once, act decisively, and move on. Victoria nodded. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Okay, let me dig. Victoria's team subpoenaed Connor's emails. They had legal grounds, investigating potential IP theft and trade secret misappropriation. It took 3 weeks. What they found was worse than the IP theft. Emails between Connor and Helen dating back 6 years. Intimate, conspiratorial emails, not sexual, but emotionally intimate, strategically intimate. Helen writing, Your father is weak. He doesn't deserve what he's built. You have the vision he lost. You have what he can't hold on to anymore. Connor writing back. Thanks for reminding me that he's not my standard. You understand me better than anyone ever has. You see me. He never came up to me. I read those emails in Victoria's office on a Wednesday afternoon. I read them 3 times. I didn't cry. I just said, I see. The twisted part? Helen's affair that broke my marriage wasn't just with David Kessler, the business consultant I'd found out about. There was an emotional affair with my own son that started years before, during my marriage to Helen, while I was still trying to save the marriage. Connor and Helen had been conspiring against me while I was still married to her, while I was still going to counseling, while I was still trying to understand what I'd done wrong. My grief transformed. It became something colder, sharper, more focused, and I finally understood what I needed to do. Not destroy him, not hurt him for the sake of hurting, but simply stop protecting him from the consequences of his own choices. Victoria said, here's what I can do. I can file a lawsuit against Connor for IP theft. We go through the discovery process. Depositions, document review, expert witnesses, costs $500,000 in legal fees, takes 3 to 5 years. Outcome? Uncertain. Connor hires a good lawyer. It becomes a complicated legal battle. You might win, you might lose. Either way, you're still fighting him. You're still tangled with him. You're still defined by the fight. I leaned back in my chair. What else? She said. Or we use the law in a different way. You use your legal right to control your own assets. You don't fight him. You simply reallocate everything you have. You use your power as an owner to rewrite the future. Explain. The house, your assets, your will, your capital. All of it is legally yours. Connor assumes he'll inherit everything, but he doesn't have that right. You do. The house is worth $1.92 million, current market value. Appraisal came in last month at 1.85, but the market is hot. You could get 1.92, maybe 2 million. It's in my name alone. No, it's in your name alone. No joint ownership, no claims from Helen. She signed away all claims in the divorce settlement. Connor assumes he'll inherit it. He's probably already spent the money mentally. He's built his entire financial projection around that assumption. He's told people, his co-founders, his investors, when I inherit the family house, I can leverage it. I can use it as collateral. And if I sell it, if you sell it, that security blanket vanishes in 48 hours before he even knows the house is listed. You establish an irrevocable charitable trust, a scholarship foundation. You name it after your mother, Margaret. You put in an initial endowment of $600,000 from the house sale proceeds. $600,000? $600,000. Full ride scholarships for women entering STEM fields. Priority for first-generation college students. Students whose parents never went to college. Students like your mother was smart, hungry, but without access. The foundation is irrevocable. The foundation is irrevocable. Once it's established, no one, not even you, can change it. Not even if you change your mind in 2 years. Not even if Connor's lawyers file injunctions. Irrevocable means untouchable. It means permanent. Why is that devastating to him? Victoria smiled. Not unkindly, just clearly. Because the scholarship is named after your mother, not Connor. It's a permanent public rebuke of Connor's narrative. He wanted to erase your legacy. He wanted to rewrite history so his father was irrelevant. Instead, your mother's name, and by extension, your name, is attached to an institution that will outlive you both. 60 women over 10 years, 60 women who will get opportunities because of you. Connor can't erase that. He can't buy it back. He can't inherit it. It's gone. It's permanent. It's forever. There's a startup called Catalyst Innovations. They're building a direct competitor to Vanguard Systems. They're good, really good. Better product, better team, better vision. But no funding. They're struggling. They need a 2 million Series A. They've pitched every VC in Silicon Valley. Nobody will bite. They're 4 months away from shutting down. You want me to invest in them? I want you to invest $500,000, contingent on them hiring 3 specific engineers, 3 of Vanguard's best engineers. The engineers we know are already willing to leave Connor's sinking ship. Connor's Series A closes in 6 weeks. Exactly. His Series A is supposed to close in 6 weeks. Final signing, but investors conduct due diligence in that time. Final checks. They talk to people. They look at the market. And if they see that a competitor just launched, a competitor using the same methodology with the same strategic framework, but with better execution, and if they see that the top talent is jumping ship, they're going to get nervous. They'll kill the deal. They'll kill the deal. Not out of spite, out of logic. They're not going to invest $5 million in a founder with a tainted reputation, a questioned methodology, and a collapsing team. That's not spite. That's risk management. Your current will, 50% of remaining assets to Connor, 25% to Claire, 25% to charity. Right. We rewrite it. Connor gets $1 million, but it goes into a spendthrift trust. He can access $30,000 per year, maximum. He cannot touch the principal. He cannot transfer it. He cannot use it as collateral. It's locked away. It's completely beyond his control. He gets an inheritance, but he can't use it. He gets an inheritance. He can't argue he was disinherited. He can't sue. But he also can't access the money immediately. Can't use it to pay off creditors. Can't leverage it. And here's the beauty. He has no legal recourse. Spendthrift trusts are designed specifically to protect beneficiaries from their own poor decisions. It's legal armor. Victoria pulled out a calendar on her laptop. Monday, house goes on the market. Privately listed to serious buyers only, but real. Marketing starts. Tuesday, offers start coming in. This market is hot. You accept the highest offer. Wednesday, contingency inspection waived, appraisal waived, contract signed and recorded, legally binding. Thursday, scholarship foundation established, bylaws filed, IRS forms submitted, Claire named as trustee. Friday, investment in Catalyst wired, $500,000. Contingent hiring offers go out to the 3 engineers. Press release prepared but not released yet. Week 2, house inspection completed. Connor finds out via the MLS, the public real estate listing. He sees it online. His name appears nowhere. He has no legal claim. It's done. Once the house sells, it's gone. Once the scholarship is established, it's permanent. Once Catalyst launches with our funding and hires Vanguard's best people, Vanguard's deal's at a risk. There's no unringing this bell, Victoria. No way to undo it. No way to reverse it. And I'm okay with that. Victoria nodded slowly. You understand this will be painful. Publicly. I understand. I also understand that if I don't act now, Connor will inherit everything. My shame will be his stepping stone, and I'll have taught him that betrayal pays. I'll have taught him that if you take your father's knowledge and your mother's help, you can erase him entirely. I can't live with that. Victoria leaned back in her chair. She looked at me for a long moment. Then we're ready, she said. When do we start? Monday. I stopped going to Meridian events after that meeting, stopped showing my face, stopped being visible. I had my assistant tell the team I was taking a personal leave of absence for wellness reasons. It wasn't a lie. I needed to disappear so nobody could warn Connor about what was coming. I didn't return Connor's texts, didn't answer his calls. When he sent a message saying, Dad, where are you? Need your input on Q2 strategy, I didn't respond. I let it sit there. Unanswered. Final. Claire ran interference with him. She'd text me saying Connor had called, asking where I was. I'd tell her, just tell him I'm taking time for myself. Tell him I need space. Connor assumed his father was still grieving, still weak, still retreating into sadness. That was my advantage. He thought I was broken. He thought I was done. He thought I'd already accepted that my relevance was over. He was wrong. But I needed him to think that for just a little bit longer. The house was listed on the MLS on a Monday afternoon. Asking price, $1.88 million. The real estate agent, a woman named Susan who'd sold homes in Palo Alto for 30 years, promoted it locally to qualified buyers. Open house was scheduled for Saturday. I made sure it was advertised properly. Not too hard. Not desperately. Just available, like something was just opening up. Connor saw the listing by accident. A friend texted him a screenshot from Zillow with a joke emoji. "Your inheritance is online." Connor immediately called me. I expected it. I prepared for it. "Dad, what the hell? You're selling the house?" I was calm. I was ready. Didn't shake. "I'm reconsidering my priorities, Connor. House is too big for one person. I'm spending too much time in rooms I don't need." "You can't be serious. That house is... I've already listed it. It's done." I heard him freeze on the other end. The silence was long. Then he said something about needing to talk, needing to understand, needing to discuss this. "There's nothing to discuss," I said. "It's listed. Offers are coming in. It will be sold." I hung up. Tuesday afternoon, 3 offers came in. Offer 1, $1.85 million. Clean offer. No contingencies. Offer 2, $1.90 million. Slightly higher. Willing to close in 30 days. Offer 3, $1.92 million. Highest offer. Appraisal contingency waived. Inspection contingency waived. They wanted the house fast. The third offer was from a tech executive whose family was relocating to San Francisco. They saw the listing, they saw the potential, and they made an offer that was too good to refuse. I accepted on Wednesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, the contract was signed. By Wednesday evening, it was recorded with the county. It was legal. It was final. There was no way to stop it now. Connor found out through real estate contacts. Word travels in Silicon Valley at the speed of text messages. He called me again. This time I didn't answer. Victoria's office filed the 501c3 nonprofit foundation documents with the California Secretary of State on Wednesday evening. Margaret and Patrick Sullivan Foundation. Legal entity. A name that would persist. Initial endowment. $600,000. Transferred from the house sale escrow account to the foundation's bank account. Irrevocable. IRS fast-tracked the approval, 2 weeks instead of the usual 6, because Victoria had worked with them before and her paperwork was immaculate. Foundation bylaws stated, Patrick Sullivan, founder, Claire Sullivan, trustee, 2 external directors from Stanford's business school, legitimacy and credibility. The key detail, once Claire signed the trustee agreement, she had legal fiduciary duty to that foundation. She was legally bound to it. She could not reverse the gift, even if I asked her to, even if I begged, which I wouldn't. I met Claire for lunch that Thursday. We had a routine, Thursdays at the same Italian restaurant we'd been going to for 5 years. Pasta, wine, conversation. I said, I need to tell you something, and I need you to trust me completely. She looked at me with those eyes. They're my eyes, actually. Patrick's eyes. Calm, intelligent, expecting the truth. I told her everything. House sale, foundation, investment and catalyst, Connor's new will, the irrevocable trust, the scholarship fund, all of it. Claire listened. She didn't interrupt. And when I finished, she cried. Not from sadness, from relief. You're really doing this, she said. Yes, and you're going to help me. You're the executor of the foundation. You're going to publicly explain why I did this. You're going to be the voice that makes people understand that this wasn't about revenge. This was about dignity. Claire nodded. I'm in. Thursday evening, Patrick and Claire met Victoria at her office. Victoria walked through the checklist like a pilot running through pre-flight procedures. House contract. Signed, recorded, binding. Check. Scholarship fund. Established, IRS approved, irrevocable. Check. New will, notarized, witnessed, filed with the probate court. Check. Investment in catalyst, ready to wire. Contingent hiring agreements signed. Check. Victoria looked at me across her desk. Once you wire the investment tomorrow, everything is in motion. Connor can't stop it. No court can unwind it. The house is sold. The foundation is permanent. The investment is committed. This is irreversible. I understand. Good. Then we're ready. Friday morning at 9:47 a.m., I wired $500,000 to Catalyst Innovations. The transfer took 3 minutes. Catalyst's CEO received the confirmation and immediately contacted the 3 Vanguard engineers. They'd been waiting. They accepted the job offers that same day. I texted Claire. "It's done." She texted back. "I'm proud of you, Dad." The trap was set. Connor had no idea what was about to happen. Friday afternoon, Connor was in a Vanguard co-founder meeting. They were discussing Series A strategy, how to close the deal, how to present themselves to the final investors. His assistant slipped him a note on a post-it. "Your house listing just went sold on Zillow." Connor stared at it, read it 3 times, thought he'd misunderstood. He excused himself from the meeting, walked into the hallway, called the real estate agent directly. "That house is in my father's name. It shouldn't have sold. My mother has rights." Real estate agent voice. "The owner, Patrick Sullivan, accepted an offer and signed the contract 3 days ago. It closed. It's recorded. It's legally done." Connor. "How much did it sell for?" 1.92 million. Connor felt the world tilt. His security blanket, his inheritance, his financial future, gone. Connor called his corporate lawyer, James Morrison, hired specifically for Vanguard's Series A negotiations. "My father just sold the house that I thought I was inheriting. Can I stop it? Can I sue? Can I do anything?" Morrison was experienced. He'd handled dozens of these situations. "Let me check the facts. Is the house in his name alone? No joint ownership? No written agreements? No promise in your father's will that you'll inherit it?" It was just understood. It's the family home. It's always been assumed. "Connor, unless there's a written agreement or an actual will document that he promised to honor, you have 0 legal claim. Your father can sell his own property. It's not even a question. Period." "So I can't do anything." "Correct. You can't do anything. The sale is final." Connor hung up. Connor called me multiple times that afternoon. I didn't answer. He texted, "Dad, we need to talk about the house. This is crazy. You can't just..." I responded 1 sentence. "The house has been sold. It's done." He called again. I answered this time. "Dad, I know you're upset about the company thing, but the house, that's our family home. It's different. It's not just an asset. It's..." "Connor, you decided I was already dead to you. You said so publicly. 500 people heard you. 45,000 people watched it online. So what happens to my house shouldn't matter to you at all." "That's not fair. I didn't mean..." "You meant exactly what you said. I'm not going to argue about this. It's over." I hung up. There was no negotiation coming. Connor understood that now. Connor called his mother in panic. "Did you know about this? Can you talk to him? He'll listen to you." Helen's voice was quiet, ashamed. "I don't have a claim on the house, honey. It's his property. And legally, I have no standing. You're his ex-wife. You were married for 28 years. He'd listen to you. No, he won't. And honestly, after what we did, what I did, we don't deserve to ask." This was Helen's moment of accountability. She realized the scheme had consequences. Real, lasting, irreversible consequences. Helen. "Connor, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I think your father has a right to do this. I think maybe he needed to do this." Connor felt abandoned. Even his mother wouldn't fight with him now. Even she understood that he'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Connor had 1 shot. Close the 5 million Series A. If he could do that, he could rebuild. He could prove that the house didn't matter. He could become someone independent, self-made, undefeatable. He called his VC contact. "Where are we on the term sheet? Can we accelerate closing? I'd really like to get this signed this week if possible." Vito T. "We're on track for closing next month. Final due diligence is underway. Partners are satisfied. It's just process at this point." "Can we move faster? Is there any way to accelerate?" "Probably not. Due diligence takes time. Why the rush?" "No reason, just eager to get started." But there was a reason. Connor could feel everything slipping. The house was gone. His inheritance was redirected. He needed something solid, something permanent, something that was his. The Series A was supposed to be that thing. Monday morning, a press release was distributed to tech publications and media outlets. Source: SEC filing by Patrick's legal team. The headline broke across the internet. Meridian Consulting founder Patrick Sullivan files formal IP theft complaint against Sun's startup Vanguard Systems. Within 2 hours, 10 tech blogs picked it up. Within 4 hours, it was trending on Hacker News. Within 6 hours, TechCrunch ran a feature. Within 8 hours, it was on the front page of multiple major publications. Connor's VC firm's lead partner called an emergency meeting. "Is this true? Did you steal intellectual property from your father's company?" Connor's voice was shaking. "No. I mean, we may have used some similar design principles, but we independently developed—" "That's not a no, Connor." The due diligence team dug. They found the forensic evidence. They found the emails between Connor and Helen. They found the server logs showing exact downloads on exact dates. They found the side-by-side comparison of Meridian documents and Vanguard's pitch deck, 99% identical. Email arrived Tuesday morning at 8:17 a.m. Subject: Vanguard Systems Term Sheet. Status: after careful review of recent public allegations regarding Meridian IP and our preliminary findings and due diligence, we've decided to pass on Vanguard Systems. The reputational risk is too high for our firm. We're withdrawing our term sheet, effective immediately. We wish you well. Connor stared at the email for 10 minutes without moving. The house was gone. The inheritance was redirected. The Series A was dead. His reputation was destroyed in a public scandal. He was 34 years old with a tainted business idea, no funding, no future prospects, and a public scandal attaching his name to fraud. He called his lawyer. "Can I sue my father for defamation?" "For the press release?" Lawyer: "The SEC filing is a public record. He didn't make anything up. Everything in the filing is documented. You have no defamation claim. You're clean out of options." Connor hung up. For the first time in his adult life, he understood what powerlessness felt like. Patrick's legal team filed a formal complaint with the California Secretary of State and the Domestic Securities Compliance Board on Monday morning. The filing was comprehensive. It included email chains, 43 of them, Connor to Helen, Helen to Connor, 6 years of correspondence, complete conspiracy documented with timestamps, forensic audit. Connor downloaded 47 proprietary files, specific dates, specific times, specific file sizes. The pattern was unmistakable. It was a systematic theft, not random downloads. Side-by-side comparison. Meridian's original design documents from 2015. Vanguard's pitch deck from 2023. Page by page, sentence by sentence. 99% identical. The layout was different. The fonts were updated, but the content was unchanged. Witness statements from 3 Meridian employees: Stephanie Cole, VP of Product, 48 years old; Kevin Walsh, Operations Manager, 41 years old; Marcus Henderson, Senior Strategy Consultant, 39 years old. All of them confirmed the methodology was proprietary. All of them confirmed Connor's access. All of them confirmed the theft. Financial damage estimate: $2.1 million in lost revenue. Conservative estimate based on 3 major clients who threatened to leave Meridian after the public scandal. Intellectual property documentation, patent filings, copyright notices, all showing Patrick as the original creator, all registered with the U.S. Copyright Office. The filing was public record. Any journalist could access it. Any investor could pull it. Any court could reference it. Day 1. TechCrunch ran the headline in their innovation section. Meridian founder accuses son's startup Vanguard of IP theft in surprise SEC filing. Day 2. CNBC picked it up for their primetime business segment. Family Feud. Tech industry watches as father sues son over stolen intellectual property. What this means for venture capital. Day 3. Business Insider published a deep dive. Behind the Betrayal. How Connor Sullivan allegedly weaponized his father's 28-year mentorship into Silicon Valley's latest scandal. Day 4. The New York Times business section ran a profile. When family becomes a liability, the Sullivan story and what it reveals about tech culture. This was a juicy story. Tech dynasties, family betrayal, generational conflict. Founder ego, startup culture gone wrong. Every outlet wanted it. Connor's lawyer issued a statement. These allegations are overblown and mischaracterize the facts. We independently developed our methodology based on industry standard practices. There is no theft. But the evidence contradicted him. The side-by-side comparisons were too identical to be coincidental. The email chains were too explicit. The server logs were too documented. Stephanie Cole, VP of Product at Meridian, 48 years old, went on record with The Verge. The client realignment framework is Patrick's life work. I watched him develop it. I watched him refine it over 20 years. It took him 10 years just to get the first version right. When I saw Connor's pitch deck, I literally gasped. It was word for word. Connor was in our office every day for 8 years. He watched Patrick invent this thing. He watched it work. And then he just took it, copied it, tried to pretend it was his own original work. Kevin Walsh, operations manager at Meridian, 41 years old, gave an interview to Protocol. What bothers me most is that Connor acted like he invented it, like his father was irrelevant. But Connor wouldn't exist as a businessman without Patrick's teaching. He didn't transcend his father. He betrayed him. He took the knowledge his father gave him and tried to use it against him. That's not innovation. That's theft. DeMarcus Henderson, senior strategy consultant, spoke to Axios. Patrick created something real, something that works, and his own son tried to take credit for it. That's what gets me. It's not just IP theft, it's a personal betrayal. These testimonies were credible. 15-year veterans. In the industry. Not enemies of Connor, just honest people telling the truth about what they'd witnessed. The narrative crystallized. Connor had stolen from his father, and then he'd laughed about his father being dead. And then, when caught, he tried to lie about it. On the same day the major media stories were blowing up, the foundation released its own announcement. Press release. Margaret and Patrick Sullivan Foundation launches $600,000 tech education initiative for underrepresented women in STEM. Content. Patrick Sullivan founded Meridian Consulting 35 years ago with a belief that knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. That belief has guided his career. It's guided his mentorship. It's guided his entire life. Today, the Margaret and Patrick Sullivan Foundation announces a $600,000 commitment to providing full-ride scholarships to women and first-generation college students entering STEM fields. These scholarships honor the memory of Patrick's mother, Margaret Sullivan, a nurse who sacrificed everything for her son's education. They also honor a simple principle that family means lifting people up, not climbing over them. The subtext was unmistakable. Patrick was the giver. Connor was the taker. Claire, as foundation trustee, gave an interview to NPR. My father could have fought my brother in court for years. Instead, he decided to redirect his energy toward people who actually want to learn, actually want to grow, actually want to honor the principles he's built his life around. That's very my father. That's his response to betrayal, not destruction, construction. Connor's publicist arranged a Medium post published on Wednesday morning, setting the record straight. My father, my work, and the future of innovation. In the post, Connor claimed, the accusations of IP theft are factually incorrect and represent a misunderstanding of how innovation works in the tech industry. I developed these concepts independently, building on methodologies I learned from my father, but fundamentally different in execution. My father's mentorship was valuable, but my success is my own. The forensic evidence said otherwise. Readers immediately flooded the comments section. The receipts are in the SEC filing. You stole it. Your own emails to your mother contradict you. This post is gaslighting. The side-by-side comparison is 99% identical. How is that independent development? Comments were liked thousands of times. The post became a case study in what not to do when accused of IP theft. Connor deleted the post 2 hours later. His credibility evaporated. Connor, in desperation, called me Thursday evening. Dad, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. The house, the company thing, I was wrong. I should have credited you. I should have been honest from the beginning. Can we talk? Can we fix this? I listened. My voice was calm. Yes, you should have credited me. You should have been honest. You should have respected me. But you weren't. And now you want forgiveness because the consequences are real. That's not how it works, Connor. What do you want from me? Nothing. I want you to understand that your actions had consequences. That's it. Live with that. I hung up. Connor's reality, by week's end, Vanguard Series A was killed. The offer was officially withdrawn. 3 of Vanguard's top engineers announced they were leaving. They'd accepted positions at Catalyst Innovations. Connor was publicly labeled a fraudster, an IP thief, and a lying founder on Reddit, Hacker News, and Twitter. Angel investors pulled their interest in any future projects. Nobody would invest in him. His personal reputation was permanently damaged. Any future startup would carry this baggage. Meridian's reputation improved by 15%. New clients came because they saw Patrick's integrity in how he handled the scandal. I met with Victoria, Claire, and the Foundation's external board members 2 weeks after the public reckoning. We sat in Victoria's conference room, large windows, city view, a space that felt like clarity. Victoria walked through the final checklist. House sale, completed and closed. Funds transferred, final. Foundation, established, IRS 501c3, approved, irrevocable. 6 scholarship awards ready for distribution this spring. Will, notarized, witnessed, filed with probate court. Connor's Spendthrift Trust is legally binding. He can access $30,000 per year, no more. The principal is locked. Catalyst investment, completed. 3 engineers hired. Product development underway. We finalized the scholarship fund structure. The foundation would award 6 scholarships per year, $100,000 each for 10 years initially, then perpetual, based on endowment returns. The money would compound. By year 10, the foundation would be distributing 10 scholarships annually. Claire was officially named trustee. She would manage the fund's mission and awards. She would read the essays. She would interview the candidates. She would decide who deserved the support. Victoria said, "You've built something that will outlive you, Patrick. That's a different kind of legacy." I said, "That was the idea." I bought a small condo in San Francisco, $380,000. Fully renovated, modern, intentional. It had 1 bedroom, 1 office, and a kitchen that faced north toward the bay. It wasn't a mansion. I didn't need 6 bedrooms anymore. I didn't need rooms I never used. I didn't need space filled with memories of a life that wasn't real. My girlfriend, Linda Reeves, a 56-year-old pediatrician who'd been coming to my consulting office for advice, moved in with me. We'd known each other for 3 years before I asked her to dinner. We'd talked about boundaries and intimacy and what it means to trust someone again. She understood what I'd been through. She understood what I needed. I started a consulting practice. Solo, not building a company, just me and 6 carefully chosen clients, all of them aligned with my values, all of them building things that mattered. 20 hours a week, not 60. I had dinner with Linda 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We cooked together, we talked, we sat in silence sometimes, which felt like intimacy. I saw Claire every Wednesday for lunch. Our relationship became stronger. She saw me choosing myself, and she respected that. I didn't speak to Connor. I didn't speak to Helen, and I made peace with that absence. I stopped waiting for apologies. I stopped hoping for understanding. I simply moved forward. I donated half my consulting revenue to the Scholarship Foundation, $80,000 per year on top of the endowment. It wasn't a tax write-off. It was a choice. It was how I wanted to spend my resources. 3 months after the scandal exploded, Connor reached out through Claire. "Tell Dad I'm sorry. Tell him I want to make it right. Tell him I want to meet and talk about this." Claire passed the message to me. She said, "He's serious, Dad. I think he's genuinely remorseful." I said, "Remorse doesn't fix what he did." I didn't respond to Connor's message. Connor tried email. "Dad, I owe you an apology. I owe you an explanation. I want to meet somewhere neutral and talk about what happened. I didn't respond. Connor showed up at my condo, unannounced. Evening. He'd gotten my address from Claire. Linda answered the door. She'd already heard the whole story. Is my father home? Yes, but he doesn't want to see you. Tell him I'm out here. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him I understand what I did now. I came to the door, looked at Connor. I felt no anger. I felt no age. I felt clarity. I said one sentence. I forgive you, Connor, but I don't trust you, and I'm not interested in rebuilding a relationship on forgiveness without trust. I closed the door. This was the boundary. I didn't hate Connor. I didn't wish him harm. I just had no use for him anymore, and I was at peace with that. Helen reached out with a long voicemail, apologetic tone, shaky voice. Patrick, I'm so sorry. I know I can't undo the past 10 years, but I want you to know that I recognize what I did was unforgivable. Connor was my responsibility. I failed as a mother. I failed as a wife. I hope you can find peace. I hope you don't hate me. I listened to the message once. I didn't cry. I didn't respond. I wasn't angry anymore. I was simply indifferent. Helen's apology didn't matter because I'd already moved on. She wasn't part of my life anymore. She was a memory, a lesson, not a person I needed to engage with. I was interviewed weeks later by a business magazine for a piece on founder wellness after betrayal. My quote, people ask me if I regret mentoring Connor or if I regret being vulnerable during the divorce. I don't. What I regret is believing I owed my family my power. I thought love meant giving away your authority. It doesn't. Love means standing firm in your boundaries. I gave Connor access to everything I'd built, and he took that as permission to erase me. The mistake wasn't generosity, it was enabling. I'm not making that mistake again. Another quote, I'm rebuilding now, not Meridian, not a dynasty, just a life, and it's infinitely better. I was at the beach with Linda, a Tuesday morning. We'd taken a day off. The ocean was calm. The light was golden. The sun was warming. Linda asked, do you ever think about what Connor's doing now? I said, no, not anymore. Aren't you curious? Don't you want to know if he's doing okay? Not curious, not angry, not vindictive. I'm just free from it. This was the victory, not that Connor lost, but that I didn't care anymore. Connor's reality, 6 months after the scandal. No funding for Vanguard. The company was dead. Never launched. $1 million in inheritance, but only $30,000 per year accessible. Sister Claire controls the rest. Reputation destroyed. The IP thief label was permanent. Any future startup would carry this baggage. Lost credibility in Silicon Valley. Nobody would invest in him. Nobody would hire him in a senior role. Lost relationship with father. Permanently. The door was closed. Lost relationship with mother. Helen was ashamed. They barely spoke. Lost sister's respect. Claire would never trust him again. My reality. Free of the house. No longer carrying that weight. Built an institution. A scholarship foundation that would outlive me. Funded a competitor company, which was now thriving, which was now launching its Series B. New relationship with Linda. Real, respectful, honest, peace of mind. I slept 8 hours a night now. Clear conscience. I'd acted ethically. I'd used legal authority. I'd not lied. I'd not cheated. I'd simply reclaimed my power. With the Series A killed and the co-founders spooked, Vanguard Systems limped along for 3 months. Month 1. Connor tried to find alternative funding, angel investors, friends and family rounds, accelerator programs. Nobody touched the company. The scandal was viral. Everyone in the tech world had heard about it. Month 2. 2 of Vanguard's 3 original engineers left to join Catalyst Innovations. They realized Connor was toxic. They realized that working for someone who'd stolen IP and lied about it was a reputational risk. Month 3. Connor shut down Vanguard, sent a memo to the remaining employees. We've decided to pause operations to reassess our strategy. The company never launched. All the IP theft was for nothing. The irony, Connor had stolen his father's methodology to build Vanguard, but he never got to prove it worked. Catalyst proved it worked instead, using Patrick's original ideas, using Patrick's methodology, using the framework that Patrick had developed over 35 years. Catalyst launched its product in month 2, while Vanguard was collapsing. The product competed directly with what Vanguard was planning to build, but better, more elegant, more efficient, because it was built on principles that had been proven over decades. Catalyst's CEO gave an interview to TechCrunch. "We wouldn't be here without Patrick Sullivan's investment and his confidence. His methodology works. His vision works. We're grateful to stand on his shoulders." The Catalyst Series B closed at $12 million in month 6. Investors were eager to back them. They saw a team with integrity. They saw a product that worked. They saw a CEO who gave credit where credit was due. Catalyst's revenue projections: $500,000 in year 1, $2.1 million in year 2, $5.3 million in year 3. My $500,000 investment was now worth $1.2 million on paper, but I wasn't tracking it for profit. I was tracking it for principle. The deeper point? My capital and judgment proved better than Connor's. Investors would rather back my choice than Connor's idea. After the scandal, Meridian actually gained credibility. Clients realized Patrick built something so valuable that his own son tried to steal it. That's not a weakness. That's validation. New clients called Meridian. "We want to work with the original, not the copy. We want to work with Patrick's vision." Meridian's business pitch evolved. Founded by Patrick Sullivan, trusted by the industry, proven by time. Founder branding mattered. The founder's integrity mattered. Patrick's choice to act ethically, to not destroy Connor out of spite, but to simply reclaim his power, mattered. Meridian's revenue grew 15% in the year following the scandal. New client acquisition, retention, growth. Susan Joe, Patrick's replacement at Meridian, said in an interview, "Patrick dealt with this with integrity. That makes us more trustworthy. That makes people want to work with us, because they know we have a founder with values." Business Insider published a long-form piece, Connor Sullivan, "When Mentorship Becomes a Weapon Against Itself." The piece profiled multiple startup founders who'd had similar issues with children trying to disrupt their businesses. It became a case study in entitlement, in IP theft, in the perils of nepotism in tech. Connor became a cautionary tale, a story that investors told each other, a reference point for what not to do. Harvard Business School invited me to teach a guest module on managing founder succession and family dynamics. I reluctantly accepted. I didn't want to profit from the scandal, but I recognized the lesson had value. Other founders needed to understand the stakes. My lecture: when you mentor someone you love, you create a power imbalance. They see your knowledge as permission to use it. You have to establish boundaries early or love becomes weaponized. It's not the mentee's fault entirely. It's the mentor's responsibility to be clear about what they're sharing and why. Connor was now 35 years old, with a public scandal attached to his name, with a permanent record, with a reputation that would follow him. He tried to find employment at other tech firms. Nobody would hire him. The IP theft scandal was a liability. Investors ran background checks. They found the scandal immediately. He pivoted to consulting, freelance advisory work, income, maybe $80,000 per year. Compared to his $500,000 expectation at Vanguard, he considered moving to Europe or Asia to start over, escape the American tech ecosystem's memory, but the internet is forever. His name and IP theft and fraud accusations would follow him globally. Google would return those articles forever. He was trapped, not by the legal system, but by his own choices. Year 1, the foundation awarded 6 scholarships totaling $600,000 to women entering STEM. Year 2, one of those women, a Latina engineer named Priya Garcia, joined a startup that became a unicorn valuation. Year 3, the foundation was featured in the New York Times. Founder Philanthropy and Redemption. Year 5, the foundation had awarded 30 scholarships. All 30 recipients were still in STEM. High retention, national average was 40%. The foundation's approach worked because it wasn't just money. It was mentorship. It was community. My personal fulfillment. I attended graduation ceremonies, met my scholarship recipients, watched them build careers and families. This was the alternative legacy, not Meridian, which Connor tried to erase me from, not family, which Connor betrayed, but institutional change. 60 women over 10 years would have opportunities because of me, would have doors open because of my mother's name, would stand on shoulders I'd built. I'm 63 now. Solo consulting practice for 8 months, and it's becoming something I'm proud of. 6 clients, all carefully chosen, all building things that matter to me. 20 hours a week, not 60 hours, not weekends, not nights stolen from my life. Linda and I have moved in together, not marriage yet. We've talked about it, but we're not in a rush. What we have is solid. It's real. It's respectful. That's enough. Claire and I have a stronger relationship than ever. Weekly dinners, honest conversations. She's my executor. She's my trustee. She's the person I trust most in this world. I don't speak to Connor. I've made peace with that absence. I stopped waiting for apologies. I stopped hoping for understanding. I simply moved forward. I donate half my consulting revenue to the Scholarship Foundation, $80,000 per year on top of the endowment. I'm not famous. I don't need to be. I'm intentional. And that's enough. This story isn't about revenge. It's about a man who forgot he had the right to say no. I gave my power away. To my wife, to my son, to other people's narratives about what I should do with what I built. And when I finally said no, the world didn't end. I ended. The old version of me. The one who thought love meant self-erasure. The one who thought boundaries were betrayal. The one who thought that giving away your power was the same as giving love. That version had to die for me to live. I'm not the villain of this story. Neither is Connor. The villain is entitlement. The belief that you deserve access to someone else's labor, their knowledge, their assets, without accountability. Connor believed he was entitled to my success without respecting my sacrifice. That's not love. That's not even family. That's exploitation wearing a family name. I learned that boundaries aren't selfish. Boundaries are the only honest thing you can give the people you love. They're saying, I love you and I respect myself. Without that, and it's not love. It's dysfunction dressed up as loyalty. I also learned that you don't have to hate someone to hold them accountable. I don't hate Connor. I don't wish him harm. I just refuse to pretend his actions didn't have consequences. That refusal, that's love too. It's the kind of love that says, you're capable of better. Here's proof. And maybe the biggest thing I've learned, dignity doesn't come from what you build or what you own. It comes from honoring yourself. It comes from saying yes to your own life. It comes from respecting your own boundaries. I didn't become dignified because I sold the house, or because the court sided with me, or because I funded a competitor company. I became dignified the moment I decided to listen to myself instead of other people's expectations. Everything else was just logistics. If you're watching this, I'm talking to you. You might be in a situation like mine. You might have given everything to people who've taken it for granted. You might have let someone rewrite your story so thoroughly that you forgot you had a pen. I'm here to tell you, you have a pen. You always did. It's not too late to write a new chapter. You don't have to burn bridges. You don't have to blow everything up. You don't have to be cruel or petty or small. You just have to be willing to say, I deserve better, and I'm going to act like it. The action might be small. It might be saying no to a request. It might be restructuring your assets. It might be letting someone face the consequences of their choices without softening it for them. Whatever it is, when you finally do it, you're going to feel something shift. You're going to feel like you can breathe again. That's worth everything. I want to hear from you. What was the moment you decided to set a boundary that people didn't want you to set? What did you lose? What did you gain? Drop a comment below. Let's build a community of people who've chosen dignity over dysfunction. And if you found something useful in this story, subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Not for me, for them. Because right now, someone is watching this who needs permission to say no. Someone is watching this who needs to understand that boundaries aren't cruelty. Someone is watching this who needs to know that it's not too late to reclaim your life. That's why I'm sharing this. That's why I'm being vulnerable. That's why I'm telling you the story of what I lost and what I gained. Because dignity is contagious, and we need more of it. The sun is setting over San Francisco. Linda is beside me on the apartment balcony. We're not talking. We're just watching the light change. The sky is turning gold, pink at the edges. The bay is turning silver. And I'm free. Not because I won. Not because Connor lost. But because I stopped dying. I stopped disappearing. I stopped listening to narratives that didn't serve me. I chose myself. And that choice was everything.